Hey everybody, it's Saturday, November 21st, 2015, and we are back again with the Weekend Trader. After a week off, given the events of last Friday evening in France, did not feel it was appropriate, did not feel particularly motivated to do one of these. Certainly time for reflection and looking at life's priorities, and our thoughts and prayers are certainly with everybody impacted by that. Appreciate your indulgence for that weekend, and I appreciate your indulgence today if you've stumbled across this site. I thought one way we could jump into back into it is go back to the compound effect book that we discussed a couple weeks ago. And although I tried to hit some of the highlights, I realized I certainly missed a few here, which I thought were particularly important. And was reminded with somebody's tweet that there's a great quote in here on Jack Nicklaus, which I'll get to in a little bit here. And I appreciate that help. But there's a chapter in here. Let's start here called Habits, and there's a list of positive habits that Darren Hardy talks about. Again, Darren Hardy, the publisher of Success Magazine, author of The Compound Effect. And the list goes like this: 1, set yourself up to succeed. 2, think addition, not subtraction. But it's really 3, 4, 5, and 6 I want to talk a little bit about here. 3, go for a PDA, public display of accountability, not affection. Public display of accountability. Picture any public official taking the oath of office. I do solemnly swear, and then comes the speech on how she'll turn her campaign promises into boots on the ground realities. When she puts it all out there in the public record, she knows that she'll be held responsible for any action that rolls back on her promises and praises for any progress toward her goals. Want to cement that new habit? Get Big Brother to watch you. It's never been easier with all the social media available. Heard about one woman who decided to get control of her finances by blogging about every penny. Plenty of colleagues, Reddit, family, friends followed her spending habits. And as a result, she's become far more responsible and disciplined in her finances. There's certainly some history here with that after some chat with Dr. Brett Steenbarger back in the 2007 timeframe. It's about when we launched, 2007, 2008, we launched really what was a public display of accountability with the blog site as I was challenging myself to meet a particular goal that I had fallen short of in the past, but I felt I had the potential, but something was missing. One of the things that was missing was a journal, and along with that journal was the idea, after talking to Dr. Brett, to go public with it. I certainly, as I go through this particular book, I see suggestions that either have worked for me well in the past, or that I should be doing, or that I could be doing, or that I used to do and I don't do anymore. And every time I read one of these things, it's a nod, affirmative nod. And I can tell you that this is not only a good suggestion, but from personal experience, it is as painful as it may be in terms of diligence, in terms of continual needing to get it out there all the time, determination. The pundits that are going to attack you after opening yourself up to the social media, to the large group of supporters. I certainly found the benefit of it far outweighed any detriment. And I know I talk a lot about that in the Chronicles book. And it's still available, certainly, when you go up to especially the original blog tab, top left of this site. A lot of the public display of accountability, and I'll again say it wasn't easy. In terms of the dedication, the perseverance, the commitment, and really journaling every aspect of anything. And the ways I thought it really helped me, really 3 ways. One is it made me use a different part of my brain to write some things down. And by doing so, or typing it out, and in doing so, it reinforced a lot of the things that I needed to reinforce in a way that I probably wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Another area that helped me, I know, was knowing that I had a strong level of support, a strong network out there that was behind me, and those that were with me during that time, you'll remember that, I mean, it was just getting uncanny in terms of the followers and the hits. And I say that not to say, gee, that's a great thing, other than to say that you know that you've got a large group supporting you, watching you, and hopefully learning from your mistakes and successes along the way. And the other area that really helped me, frankly, was were the people that challenged me in what they may have thought was a negative way. But you know, when I look at all the ingredients for that particular time in my trading career, that was one of the most important for me. The most important was people telling you that you either couldn't do it, or you weren't doing it, or that it was fiction, or this or that. And ironically, and I know I talk about this in the book, and I talked about this in the blog, that provided the fuel. And there's a section in the book here actually that talks about that. And actually, rule number 5, which we'll get to in a second, talks about competition and camaraderie. And that's exactly what I'm getting at. And it was that particular fuel probably did more for me than anything. And I don't know whether it was a prove it to me, or prove it to you, or whatever it might be, but it certainly got the competitive spirit flowing. And when you're working in a competitive environment, you know, that's actually very positive. And I think if you talk to many of the top athletes, they'll tell you the same thing when they go into visitor stadiums, and they're getting, you know, I mean, the entire crowd just about, right, is against them. And how can some go in there and perform just solidly very well, and perhaps fuel that for motivation? And so, again, public display of accountability. I welcome criticism. I welcome challenges, and to me, it actually gets the blood flowing. It's a very positive thing. I think if I had nothing but support for you know, some of the things that I've attempted in my trading career, I probably wouldn't have done as well as if I didn't have that other end of the spectrum. So to those of you who may tweet or whatever, go for it in terms of challenging or not liking a lot of the things that we do. I respect that. I love you, and I'll say keep it up, because it helps. It helps fuel. And so if I just jump to number 5, competition camaraderie. There's nothing like a friendly contest to whet your competitive spirit and immerse yourself in a new habit with a bang. You know, talk about holding competition. I try to hold internal competitions, you know, growing from one goal to another. You know, pressing myself, the journey I've discussed many times that I'm currently on in terms of sizing and increased goals. You know, he talks about competition here. Because of the competition, they found ways to increase their activity. Everybody, in this case, he uses the example of trying to lose weight by walking so much in a day. They all had Fitbits, and they created a little competition there. And what he says here is as soon as the competition was over, I was fascinated to observe that the step count that they had been tracking completely dropped off the cliff by more than 60% just 1 month after the competition. When the competition was reorganized again, the step counts shot right back up. All it took was a little competition. So again, from personal experience, I can echo those comments, and certainly encourage you to consider doing that in your own trading career. Number 4, we skipped over, find a success buddy. There are a few things as powerful as 2 people locked arm in arm marching toward the same goal. To up your chances of success, get a success buddy, someone who will keep you accountable as you cement your new habit while you return the favor. I, for example, have what I call a peak performance partner. Every Friday at 11 a.m. sharp, we'd have a 30-minute call during which we trade our wins, losses, fixes, ahas, and solicit the needed feedback and hold each other accountable. A lot of talk in this industry about trading buddies. You know, find one. You know, take it seriously and leverage off of each other. Number 6, celebrate. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. It's a recipe for backsliding. Certainly agree with that, although I probably am guilty of not doing a whole lot of that. But I will admit, when I hit certain goals, you know, when I hit the million goal, annual goal, you know, 2/3 of the way through the year in 2008, just, you know, certainly didn't celebrate then because I didn't know it, because I wasn't tracking it. But at the end of the year, I did. You know, and I'm glad I did. Gave me an opportunity to exhale a little bit here. Other areas here. I mentioned Greg Norman, and thanks. I forget who it was that tweeted this, but talks about golfer Jack Nicklaus was, say Greg Norman, I'm sorry, Jack Nicklaus. He uses Greg Norman as the other side of the example, which I'll get to in a second. Golfer Jack Nicklaus was famous for his pre-shot routine. He was religious about the dance he would do just about before every shot, series of routine mental and physical steps that got him fully focused and ready for the shot. Skipping ahead here, it says during one of the important majors, a psychologist timed Nicklaus from the moment he pulled the club out of the bag until the moment he hit the ball. And in each shot, from the first tee to the 18th green, the timing of Jack's routine supposedly never varied more than 1 second. More than 1 second. And then it says the same psychologist, boy, struggling with the words today, measured Greg Norman during his unfortunate collapse at the 96 Masters. Lo and behold, his pre-shot routine got faster and faster as the round progressed. The thought that comes to mind at my end is consistency, and I'm guilty of that right now. And I've actually looked at not my pre-shot routine, but my pre-day routine. And I think anyone who has non-market interests, including family or young children or another career that you're managing, can relate to this, where your pre-day routine varies. And I think that one of the keys in this business is to eliminate all of the variables. Okay, and one of the variables is how you start your day. I do highly recommend that you get up at the same time every day. The Globex market between 6 a.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. is so fertile and so absent of the games and so predictable, and there's a rhythm. And as Europe progresses into the U.S. and even Asia before that, I know I've talked about that ad infinitum, but it only works if you are dedicated and diligent in getting up all of the time at the same time. If it's 5:30, it's 5:30, and you cannot alter that. If you feel like sleeping in, you got to find a way to either go to bed earlier or get up and take a quick run around the house or the neighborhood. You've got to keep that pre-day routine consistent. And a great example here talks about pilots going through a pre-flight checklist. Even when a pilot has logged thousands of hours and the plane just came in with a perfect performance review from a previous destination, the pilot still goes through a pre-flight checklist. Every time without fail. So, very, very critical to me in terms of eliminating variables. And this also hinges on, I'm going to skip ahead to a section here where they talk about being very careful with being bombarded with so much in this day and age. It talks about putting yourself on an immediate diet and filtering out the junk in your life. One of the variables that I've seen, and even when I do the mentoring, the live mentoring sessions, I tell the folks right off the top that, I love you and respect all of you, and I'm sure you're bright and you've got a lot of great ideas, but what I can't have is you planting new ideas in my head, because what that's going to do is that's going to alter the fixed routine that I have. My fixed routine, is it the best routine? No. Is it a successful routine? Yes, if followed all the time. But there are also other successful routines that, if followed all the time, will also work. The key is to removing the variables. So in terms of having that junk filter on in your brain, especially in this day and age where, I hadn't been very active in Twitter intentionally for a while, and I looked around and I saw some benefit to it, but I've also learned that you've got to be very careful with that. Especially as I see, how many people are following so many other people. I found it ironic, for example, that I had been pretty much shut down for a couple of weeks, and my following count has actually grown, knocking on 3,000, which it doesn't really mean anything other than the fact that I know a lot of these folks, a lot of you folks are following many folks, many other people to maybe find that idea, to find that nugget. And there's a lot of good stuff out there, and hopefully we contribute in some small or modest way to that. But there's also, the other side of that. And even if it's all good, there can be too much good. If you're trying to follow folks that exclusively use market profile or volume profile, and you're also following folks that exclusively use technical indicators or even some blend, you're already setting yourself up for failure. It's certainly great to assimilate a lot of this market knowledge in a way that increases the probability. So don't get me wrong in terms of not exposing yourself to that. But I would strongly encourage you that during the trading day or during the trading week, when you're actively engaged, that you are just following a fixed routine and you follow that to the letter. You don't go out on the golf course in a competitive endeavor in a tournament and start, modifying what you do or start seeking others' input. That's very, very detrimental. I mean, you do that after hours, you do that on the weekends, and you lock yourself in. And again, I think one of the challenges we have in this day and age with great technology like TweetDeck, and I've got TweetDeck where I can line up, a few of the people that I consider to be my trading buddies, if you will. And in some cases they may not even know it. You've got to turn that off or limit yourself to one or two. So that's a great way to I think to remove some of the junk. And again, too much of any good thing can be junk. My dad, God rest his soul, one of the phrases I will never forget that he ingrained in me was that everything in life is good in moderation. And there can be no better quote that I can attribute to my dad. So even the good stuff, when you're overindulging in it, can turn out to be negative. So again, I've seen that in my own life. I've seen that in my own trading. So think about some of these things in terms of what can you do to increase your trading performance. Some of you folks are so close. Some of you folks are at the goal line, 2 inches from the goal line. Some of you other folks may be a bit farther away. You can get there, and you can get there consistently, but there might just be that those one or two things that you're not actively doing that will get you there. So I'm here to encourage you. I'm here to continue to share what I learn as I progress in my career. I've often talked about the older I get, the more I realize that I have to be more focused with my pre-day routine and more diligent with a lot of what I do. I've said so many times, and I apologize for being repetitive, but the only thing that should prevent you, once you've figured this game out, the only thing that should prevent you from being successful consistently is focus, motivation, and showing up. Focus, motivation, and showing up. And what we've just done essentially, talks about a lot of the background noise that if you eliminate can get you to that. Being focused, eliminating the junk, eliminating the over excessive exposure to media and to social media. The showing up, having the pre-shot routine, the motivation, being challenged by a support group as well as people that are not for you, using that productively. So again, things that I use at this end and have given some even greater thought to as we continue to evolve, what we do here. I will say that it looks like that we are starting to line up the only live mentoring event next year for February, full week in February. So I don't know exactly which week yet, but if you're interested, please email me, Don at donmillereducation.com. Again, for some of you, that'll be helpful. For others, that you've got your own way to hone this business. You've got your own way of educating yourself. I fully endorse that and support that. And again, what I do is not the greatest way or some guru. I have made a lot of mistakes in this business, especially early on. Still visit the neighborhood from time to time. I need to know I'm in that neighborhood and pull myself out. If this babbling just helps a few of you avoid, as I say in the book, the bloody crevices I got caught in that have cost me, especially in the early days, about $250,000 in terms of incorrect business plans, in terms of incorrect trading approaches, and a whole host of other errors that I think we all go through when we're not shown the roadmap at that time. It gets very, very expensive. So, find that route to success, whoever that might be. And Darren Hardy is a great $10 way to help you get there. So those are some thoughts this weekend. Again, Saturday, November 21st. Hope it gave you some food for thought for the week. Pretty good fertile trading environment right now. Trend days followed by MATDs, morning after trend days followed by no more trend days. The market is oscillating or auctioning for you market profile folks in a very logical manner these days. Lots of opportunity out there, so let's take advantage of that. Have a great bonanza week, and we'll catch you on the flip side. I'll try to get a couple of tweets out midweek, but I'm trying to take my own medicine in terms of limiting what goes on there from me. It'll be hopefully quality over quantity, and help provide a self-filter for you at year end. So if you're following, great. If you are obviously watching the video, I appreciate your indulgence. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next weekend. Take care.